Welcome. Good evening, boa noite, everybody. My name is Brandy. I'm the founder of World Lit, and this is a special music edition of the World Lit Street Food Festival. Thank you so much for showing up and supporting what we do. World Lit is all about creating spaces for the cultures to connect and celebrate each other, learn a little something, and here we are. Today we're going to be taking a dive into Trinidad and Brazil. The lineup is fire. We have Champion Champezi. He's a Trinidadian soca artist. He's making hits out of South Carolina, which is unheard of. And we have Adriana Blanco. She has this love for Afro-Brazilian culture, and she's one of the directors of the North Carolina Brazilian Arts Project. And last but not least, we have Grupo Falo Comigo. I'm so hyped that they're with us. They're joining us all the way from Brazil, and they specialize in a genre that I happen to love. We love at World Lit, it's Samba Pagode, and they're literally blowing up right now, and it's just an honor to have them with us. It's an honor to have all of these guests with us. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before diving into our show, I want to talk a little bit about the virtual space that we're sharing. There are a lot of cool features that I hope you guys take advantage of throughout the evening. We are on the main stage, and that's where all the artists are going to be presented. And there's a chat box to the right. We hope you guys participate, interact, connect with each other. And then also there's a networking tab. You should see a little networking icon in there. Don't be scared. Turn your cameras on and just have random conversations with whoever pops up. I mean, I really encourage that. It can be quite fun, maybe a little intimidating, but you never know who you're going to connect with. So please do take advantage of that. And then finally, we have the Vendor Expo, which is really cool. I mean, please check them out. It has a list and information of vendors who are supporters and friends of World Lit. So I really want you guys to check them out and see what they have going on and hopefully support. First up on our lineup is Champion Champezi. Like I said earlier, he's a soca artist out of South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina at that. He grew up in Trinidad. Well, I'm not going to steal his thunder, but I'm just so excited to have him because to me it's so World Lit that he's making soca music in Columbia, South Carolina. So that puts him on the off the World Lit chart in that sense, because there really isn't a Caribbean scene. It's not like he's in New York. It's not like he's in Miami or anything. He's really bringing something different to his community and something really rich and unique for them to experience. So I'm really excited about that, and his music is fire. I've never been to Trinidad Carnival, but I've been to a number of carnivals around the United States, DC, New York, and even Caravana in Toronto, so I have a good feel for what's hot. And I mean, I could totally hear his music played by one of the trucks, by one of the DJs on the truck. So I mean, I just want to show Champion Champezi some love right now, and I'm so excited to get to present him to the World Lit fam.
Big up World Lit all the time, all the while, having Champion Champezi here for the World Lit. Pick up yourself, pick up your chest, and always keep it 100. I'm a music artist. Some people might say I'm a soca artist, but I really am just an artist. I write what I feel, I perform how I feel when I'm in the studio. World Lit to me is great because it embraces different cultures, and we need this in this life, in this world, to show different aspects of different cultures and let people be aware of the world. Hence the word world lit. The world is on fire, right? World got to know about this. So the island of Trinidad and Tobago, that's 2 islands in the Caribbean, the last Caribbean country on the world. Well, to be Trinidadian means is a mixture of religion, ethnic group, culture, all mixed up in one. So that's the word to me Trinidadian come from, because not just one religion. You have Hindu, Muslim, Christianity, Roman Catholic, Baptist, everybody in one. Same thing, with culture. You have the Indian, you have the African, you have the Spanish, you have the Chinese, all mixed up in one, blend up. So that's Trinidadian for you. I lived in South Carolina, Virginia. That's about it, and came back to South Carolina. So yeah, I've been around the southern part of the U.S. I came here to go to school, so getting adjusted with my accents and with being in America, it was kind of hard for people to actually comprehend what I'm saying. So it was a little learning challenge. It was a language challenge as well. But eventually I got adjusted, figured out a way through the whole craziness of the language barrier, and everything worked out for the best. Actually, a family friend was there as well. At that time when I went, my cousin was going to the same school, my 2 cousins, and they left. Basically mingled with people from Charleston because they thought I was from where they're from. Until I got there and I realized that these people are probably some kind of history back to the Caribbean. So yeah, that was very interesting for me. In a household, it was different because we listened, my parents, my aunts listened to a lot of country music, Kenny Rogers, ABBA, and with a mixture of soca, calypso coming from David Rudder, Kitchener and Sparrow. So it was a mixture of music, especially with my uncle being a DJ. He was my biggest influence, and from him I learned a lot about music because he played everything possible. Rest in peace to him, he's deceased now, but he was a big influence to me as well as my cousin. He brought a lot of mixtapes, DJ Clue tapes, Wu-Tang albums, a lot of different rap groups, and we used to go in the bedroom and listen to all these things. We have cursing, so we had to play very low, and we actually memorized these rhymes, and that's where most of my song came from. I was a rapper before I became an actual soca artist. Yeah. My journey started at the age of 8. At the age of 8, I started, of course, listening to my uncle, my cousins with the tapes and everything, and I started writing my own music. Started basically rapping on rappers' beats and rhythms. That's where my journey started until I went to high school, which is secondary school back in Trinidad, where we used to have little talent shows and so forth, so on. And I started doing my little talent. Very shy at that age, but the first time I actually hit the stage is then when everybody was like, "Yo, you should go ahead and keep on doing this." So that gave me the confidence to keep on pushing. And in that time, I had a couple of friends. We call ourselves Absentee Crew. And pushing forward later on in life, when we came to the US, they were in Miami and I was here in South Carolina. So I used to have to go down to Miami to perform with them. We were hoping for some big stars at that time. And it was a group, and that was more of my love for the music. So the group is now split up, of course, and I keep on pushing the music part. So I'm here by myself on my own journey and my own love for the music to keep on doing what makes me happy, spreading the culture. Achievements: to be on an ad on the Billboard magazine, to be on Hip Hop Weekly or Vibe magazine. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to do something like that, and not only those big magazines, but I have a lot of spreads on different articles all over too. So that's my biggest achievement, and just be able to still at this age to keep on blessing me with music, blessing people with music is beyond love. I think is really an eye opener to see that I could step away and come back and still have that love. So Big up the girls. The girls, we have a girls challenge going on now too, so everybody jump on that. And my new song, Big Up Girls. That girls is doing good. Keep it moving. Go to Spotify, download it, Apple Music, all platforms.
Girl, I say back, girl, I say just push back, girl, you will get contract, girl, you will get up, that girl. Why not go down to the ground, tap on the ground and stop. Come from the ground, rock your bottom, let your bottom tick tock. We love them girls, 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 girls. We like them girls, 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 girls. We talking girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls. Stick in the middle playing cricket with all. Which one of them girl answer my call? Keisha, Tamisha, Lisa, Michelle. Look at them body well. Look at the time. Look at them girl and them bubble and wine. 6:30 girl show me a sign and push back in the drop of a time. We love them girls, 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 girls. We like them girls, 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 girls. We talking girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls. Girl, let's wind up the waist. Watch out, they mash up the place. Look out, they getting on bad. Mashing up, man. Push back, girl, push it back. 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 We love them girls, 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 girls. We like them girls, 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 girls. We talking girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls. Don't stop. All my girls, them wine, rock out, mash up the place. Wine, walk up, take out your waist. Wine, rock out, mash up the place. All my girls, them wine, rock out, mash up the place. Wine, walk up, take out your waist. Wine, rock out, mash up the place. Girl, I say back, girl, I say just push back, girl, you will get contract, girl, you will get up, that girl. Why not go down to the ground, tap on the ground and stop. Come from the ground, rock your bottom, let your bottom tick tock. We love them girls, 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 girls. We like them girls, 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 girls. We talking girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls. We like them girls, 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 girls. We talking girls, 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 girls. We love them girls, 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 girls.
So, me being a soca artist in South Carolina is a blessing by itself. I'm not in Miami. I'm not in New York. I'm here in South Carolina, where it don't have the majority, let's put it that way, for population and from the Caribbean. So it's a little bit harder, to be known. But I think I'm good where I'm at because that makes me different. I remember Charleston, South Carolina. They had a show. I think I was actually performing at that show. And just to see how the people was vibing to the music and dancing and just so carefree about everything. That had the stigma of the ear in there, give me chills because I'm like, wow, this is like real. I really love the fact that this is done right now in a place where I'm thinking, we in South Carolina here. Is this really happening? I think it was actually the South Carolina Caribbean in Charleston. So soca music was started, of course, when slavery time, slaves started that. It was a mixture of, the Indians, which came to Trinidad as Indian arrival. They came to look after the sugarcane aspect of the country, and with the Africans and the Indian and the Spanish, from Britain, the mixture of all that blended up and came up with the thing called calypso. And slaves used to use that as a way of communicating, a way of basically voicing your opinion. And then that was way back then, and now 1970 around there, they came up with soca music, which was came from that that history with the slaves, but just they made it a little different with the beat, a little bit more up-tempo beat. So yeah, that's where the history came from. And when it comes down to Juve was also a way that slaves used to mock the masters. So Juve came from when the masters used to have masquerade balls, and so the slaves was not invited to that, of course, so they made up their own thing called Juve, which is a French origin called daybreak. And that's where Juve started, and they started that, of course, to mock the masters, and they came up with their own concept. That's how the oil, the mud, the powder, all that, that's where that started, and now it is what it is today. You know, a big celebration in Trinidad and Tobago. When you get to a Caribbean event or soca music or carnival or Juve, you know it's a time to really free yourself up from all your worries, all your problems, leave all that behind and just take a jump one day of your life just to say, oh, we're having a good time now, we had to worry about anything. So you're just gonna move with the punches and just have a good time and enjoy yourself. So that's what stands out to me, is that is a time for freedom, to free yourself.
1, get ready, 2, get ready, 1, 2, 1, 2, box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we, box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, box up and down like a madman there. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand like a madman there. Mad. We moving like a madman there. We getting all mad today. Time to get out of the madman way. Listen up to what the madman say. Run up the shit, run down the shit, bounce on the shit, madman. Run up the shit, run down the shit, bounce on the shit, madman. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, bounce up and down like a madman there. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand like a madman there. Mad. We moving like a madman there. We getting all mad today. Time to get out of the madman way. Listen up to what the madman say. Box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we, box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, box up and down like a madman there. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand like a madman there. Mad. Run up the shit, run down the shit, bounce on the shit, madman. Run up the shit, run down the shit, bounce on the shit, madman. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, bounce up and down like a madman there. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, bounce up and down like a madman there. Keep bouncing, 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 keep bouncing. We moving like a madman day. We getting all mad today. Time to get out of the madman way. Listen up to what the madman say. Box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we, box and up and down like we, box and wrong like we, box and up and down like we. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand if you're mad out there. If you're mad out there, box up and down like a madman there. If you're mad out there, throw up your hand like a madman there. Mad.
You know, still playing the music, with the folklore part of it as well. When it comes to Juve, Carnival, different old masks like the Jab, the Jab Malassi, the Black Rubbers, all that's part of Carnival as well, the old mask. I like the old mask feel. Because as a kid, I was more involved into the old mask than the costume part, where you put the costumes on for Carnival. right? You know, Trinity Carnival, it brings a lot of income to the country. You know, a lot of people don't look at that, but it does bring a lot of income to the country. As I said before, it's still a good place to jump up, celebrate life with your friends, family, everybody on one accord. Even people that you don't know, you meet there, everybody want to jump up and have a good time. So it's really eye-opening when you go there. You just have to be ready to go. Because if you're not ready to go, you get left behind. Get fit one. I mean, so not everybody fit, right? You don't have the endurance, and you go in the sun and you want to play, you're running up and down the place and in the hot sun, then you're in for a wide awake. You have to have a little bit of endurance. If you go there, you gotta think. You know, you leave one place, you go on to the next. You wake up, say you go in Juve, wake up 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're going all the through Juve, all dirty and thing, right? You're going until 10 o'clock in the morning. You leave that, go a party after 10. When you leave that party, you go into another event. So you're going event after event after event after event. And if you're drinking, if you're a drinker, you have to pace yourself. And especially you have to eat. And you might take a little nap, but there's no napping in that. We come here to have a good time and party, right? So there's no napping. If you there's no napping. In my book, that's how I grew up. We went from one thing to the next without napping. You know, when that time comes to sleep, you'll sleep. But we have 2 days on the road. Let me make it work, you know? So that's how I think about the whole carnival scene. You just have to be ready to go.
Okay, now I'm so excited to introduce Adriana Blanco. She's a friend of mine. We go way back. She's the director of the North Carolina Brazilian Arts Project. And I mean, she just exudes worldliness because she really took her passion for Afro-Brazilian culture and took it to the next level, getting our city, getting our state, and even beyond that, world lit, and sharing the culture of Brazil continuously learning and sharing with others, which I think is such a beautiful thing. We're going to learn about her story today, and she's even going to give us a samba class, a little samba dance lesson to the music of Grupo Fala Comigo, who's coming up next. But please check this out and join us for the samba lesson.
Hello, shout out World Lit. My name is Adriana Blanco. I'm so happy to be here. I am one of the founders and one of the directors of the North Carolina Brazilian Arts Project. We are an organization of a bunch of folks that are really interested in African Brazilian movement culture and history, specifically capoeira, maculele, and samba, and different types of samba, and other types of African Brazilian dance too. I'm also a social worker, clinical social worker. I specialize in working with adolescents and femme-identified people and families. And I work with a lot of folks that have experienced different types of trauma throughout their lives. And I'm also a yoga teacher. World Lit to me, first of all, is really exciting. But I think the thing that stands out for me the most that I've noticed about you and the folks that you interview and that you interact with is that you don't always have to go to LA, you don't have to go to New York, you can make a diverse and profound arts and culture scene wherever you're at, because we all deserve to have that. We all deserve to have people that are really passionate about their art and their culture and sharing it with others with love and with responsibility and with innovation and creativity. And I think that you highlight people like that. It gives me hope that, like, yeah, you know, you can have an exciting, enriched life no matter where you live. You just have to look a little harder. I was born in Durham, North Carolina, raised in Chapel Hill, and went to college in DC. Moved to Charlotte because of the capoeira community here in Charlotte. Yeah, and I also met my husband here. But it was capoeira first, for sure. My dad is from Dallas, Texas, and he's a flamenco guitar player. And he, in college, moved to Spain, and he met my mom, who is Spanish. She passed away when I was really young. And I come from a long line of storytellers and artists and poets and total theater geeks. Yeah, so actors from a small village in Andalusia is where my mom's side of the family is from. Lots of influence from the playwright and the poet Federico García Lorca, who was a really important figure, you know, of the Spanish resistance during the nationalist period in Europe in the 30s. So there's a lot of like familial connections there. I'm not related to him, but my mom was close to members of his family. So I'm a Carolina girl, you know, born in North Carolina, and I consider myself, I guess, like multicultural, bicultural, bilingual, trilingual actually, but Spanish was my first language. This is not my specialty or anything, but folks and other therapists and clinicians, you know, that are colleagues of mine talk about, like, you know, racial identity work or like just identity work in general. A lot of that was happening for me in college, for sure, because I was like finally surrounded by like a lot of diverse folks. Like growing up in Chapel Hill, that was like not necessarily what was going on. And I was really seeking that when I decided to go to school in DC. I went to the George Washington University, and I wanted specifically to study international affairs because I was like, I need to be out. I need to like see the world. I need to understand the world. And so I, you know, was so thankful to already speak Spanish, and so I just started signing up for Portuguese classes because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this Latin American studies thing. I want to learn more about like, you know, colonization, the transatlantic slave trade, and just like all of the things that happened in history that have just shaped this world that we live in. It was just very interesting to me, and so I was just like studying Portuguese, and then I just decided to study abroad. And my roommate Carla and I were like, yeah, let's study abroad. We were like, let's just go to Brazil. And it really just happened for me there, you know. I found out about capoeira there. I started training the African Brazilian martial art of capoeira, and then from there, in the capoeira rodas, or after that capoeira rodas, there would always be samba de rodas, like a circle of samba, and I was just mesmerized by it. But even before then, before I even like really understood what samba was, the first month of our study abroad like experience, we were actually in Sao Paulo, because I studied abroad in Salvador. We were in Sao Paulo for a month doing like really intensive language program, and they took us out and they took us to some club, some like nightclub, like theater venue, and we saw Teresa Cristina, who is like one of my now, like looking back on it, I'm like, wow, how lucky was I? One of the most amazing samba artists. Like her voice, it was just incredible. I remember being there. I remember people dancing to it, and just they were so free, you know, and the music just had this swing, and it was the percussion, like the drum was like in my belly, you know. And I think looking back on it now, it must have been the tan-tan that I was listening to that I was like, oh, and it just like, I don't know how to explain it. I was not happy. I was actually miserable because I didn't know how to connect to it. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to participate. I wanted to be in there, but really I was just like, like all this energy, you know, everywhere, and I had nowhere to put it. I had no vocabulary to let it out. I had really generous, like, capoeiristas. Her name was Sambadeira. That was her capoeira name. I don't know her actual name. I've been trying to find out what it is. She would teach me. Going out in Pelourinho and going to these just like samba rodas that they would have, these pagodis. And it's just like you start to feel it, and it sort of comes. Obviously, I was a mess, but I felt it. It was weird. It's like my body felt it before I really understood the technique. And then, you know, capoeira events, they would always have like one samba teacher. So I would try to drink it up. But there weren't that many samba teachers around in the United States. Just really weren't. There was Sonia Pessoa in Washington, D.C., and she was wonderful. And so I learned some with her. And then when I moved to North Carolina from D.C., I was like, that's it. Like my samba dream, like I have no idea. No one can like really like break this down for me anymore. I just have to keep practicing and figuring out what I can. And then there was a teacher at 9th Street Dance in Durham, and I but she was great. She was sort of like, she was teaching it, and I took the class because I was always like looking for it. And then Ia Silva, now Ia Campbell, just out of nowhere shows up in her class in Durham. And I just remember my friend Mackie and I were like, oh, who is this woman? Oh my gosh. She was wearing yellow, and she had also a yellow flower in her hair, and she was just like all throughout the room. And it was just incredible. And then, you know, we just talked to her, got to know her, and she started teaching classes too. I took every class I could possibly ever take. I just followed her everywhere. And she was commuting from Charlotte to Durham, but then moved to Durham for a while and moved back to Charlotte. I just followed her. And then started dancing with her company, Movimento de Samba, which is, you know, how we know each other. And she was really the one who really got me going and brought out that that sort of performance, that need for performance that I've always had, you know, as a child. I think capoeira was satisfying that to a certain extent. And I never really understood this about myself, but yes, I do like to perform. I like to create, I like to perform, and I like people to see it. And that's something that you know, it's kind of hard to, you know, you feel kind of like, oh God, you know, like who am I to say like I want to perform and I want people to see it. But that desire, I've had to honor that, and Ia helped me hone that. And and I followed her around until she decided to you know, focus on other things and no longer continue with her company. And I was like, I feel like I'm just getting started. So this is a super complicated question, I think, because I have to start off by saying that, you know, I started off and I continue to be a capoeirista. So that was really my love. That was my calling, that martial art. Samba was always, as I first experienced it, was like the afterwards, right? It was like after the capoeira. And it was just a way to like let loose and be in community. And something about that, because I love being around people, I love getting to know people, I love making friends. It was just such an amazing way to make friends, and that's why I think I got really serious about Samba, because I got really serious about my friends. I got really serious about learning, and the more you learn about Samba and capoeira, because the two are so connected, it's like your life is so enriched, because you just learn about history, you learn about how the world works, you learn about how people survived oppression, you learn about how people oppressed, and how it kind of looks the same, you know, throughout the world. And it was just this like really cohesive human experience. And then the music, I mean, I think that just like goes without saying, like that first experience, nothing makes me want to move more. I would say one of my proudest moment, without a doubt, is that I believe that I have created a class space where people can show up, not have any experience, even in dance, and they can walk out of there after like 6 months, because Samba takes a while, and they can really dance, and it opens up their world to dance, because that's what Samba did for me. And capoeira showed me that I can do anything with my body if you just train it, and it showed me that I have a natural sense of rhythm and connection. And then Samba really brought out my creativity and my sensuality and my inner like femininity, you know, that I think I've never really connected very fully to. And so if I can provide, and I believe that I have for some people, if I can provide that space for others in a safe and inclusive way, that's my biggest achievement. What's given me the capacity to do that are some of the studies that I have engaged in that have given me a few titles, such as Passista for Samba school, for a Serie A school. So for the listeners or viewers who don't know what a Passista is, they're part of the Carnival in Rio or in São Paulo, that they represent the danced aspect of Samba. And so usually it's just members of the community that are allotted that privilege to dance Samba during the parade and also be a representative of the school. And so I auditioned and I received that position. And I also now this year, and you have to pay for it too, it's complicated. You know, it's not like I'm all that. A lot of people are passistas too. But I am proud of that achievement. And I'm also a musa for another school. So this year in Carnival, I'll be parading as a musa, which is a kind of a grander title. It's more of a performance. There's more spotlight on you, and you are definitely, your face is a recognizable representation of the school as a musa. So of course you have to pay for that too to support the Samba school. But you know, I am proud of that because it's scary. I've really put myself out there to do that. And I'm proud of the relationships that I've created with my teachers that have afforded their confidence in me to give me the opportunity to audition and the opportunity to have those titles. I would say that it is not always welcoming and warm, and I don't think it should be, right? Because it's like such a treasure. It's their culture, it's their mode of surviving and spreading joy, and just their way of living, like breathing. And so, yeah, it's tense, right? Because people from outside of Brazil come and, right, we train super hard because we have the privilege to train super hard. So yeah, we show up and I'm looking super awesome because, like, you know, I've been taking modern dance classes on the side because I can, so my toe point and my lines are, you know, all that. But I haven't lived through that struggle, or I haven't grown up with that history. And so when you show up and you are occupying space in their school and their community centers, there is tension sometimes, and as it should be. But usually it's really easy to break through that tension with relationships, you know, with communicating and talking. And I'm grateful for my Portuguese because that's what's given me, you know, I think that capacity to be able to take it a step further. And then there's this mutual respect and admiration that happens. I would say probably one of the most like world lit moments that I had was before I decided to move here. I came to check out Mestre Esquilo from International Capoeira School, who's now my Mestre. I was in grad school at the time, or finishing up grad school in Chapel Hill, and I drove to Charlotte. I'd never been to Charlotte. Like, grew up from North Carolina, never been to Charlotte. And I was at the Friday night after party at my friend Shane's house. His wife was like, "You brought all these people here," and it was all these capoeiristas, and this always happens at capoeira events. Like, there's like the after party is lit, so fun. I was like in a trance state. There were so many capoeiristas. Mestre Esquilo was there, who was basically like an iPod with like how many songs he knows and can sing, and he was just singing. People were playing on the chairs, on the plastic chairs. There were Heineken bottles and knives. There was like the whole night, it was just non-stop singing, and I think I must have danced for like 5 hours straight. And that's when I met my husband, but I didn't pay attention to him that night. But that was a really amazing night because I was in my flow state. You know, Ia had given me the tools. I could finally use them, and it was happening in North Carolina. It was amazing. Hello World Lit community, I'm here to show you the basic step for Samba no Pé, which essentially means 1, 2, 3 in your feet and adding the hips. So I'm going to demonstrate the most fundamental step that you'll be able to utilize in most styles of Samba throughout Brazil. And I'm going to show you half tempo, and I'm also going to demonstrate on beat, full tempo. Okay, I'm also going to move my arms in concert with my feet, so you're going to see different stylistic choices that you can make. You can have them be a little more flowy or a little more natural. It's going to be up to you. So I hope that this is helpful so that you can apply some of this knowledge and really enjoy yourself at a pagode, at a barbecue, at a party, at a concert, and work those 1, 2, 3 in the feet, and always add the hips. Always more hips. Thank you.
Ai, que saudade! Poeira no quadro da gente, o meu coração apertado, choro de arrependimento, saudade do beijo molhado. Ah, como eu queria ser museu pra sentir o gosto do passado. Depois que você se foi, tô vivendo no botequim, tentando te apagar da mente, mas tô mentindo pra mim. Bêbado, bebendo pra esquecer, quanto mais eu bebo eu lembro de você. Quem nunca errou nessa vida, me atire uma pedra, eu errei pra aprender. Ah, se eu tivesse a chance de dizer, volta pra mim, meu bebê, volta pra eu poder viver. Ah, se eu tivesse a chance de dizer, volta pra mim, meu bebê, volta. volta pra eu poder viver. Faz assim comigo não. Poeira no quadro da gente, o meu coração apertado, choro de arrependimento, saudade do beijo molhado. Ah, como eu queria ser museu, a sentir o gosto do passado. Depois que você se foi, tô vivendo no botequim, tentando te apagar da mente, mas tô mentindo pra mim. Bêbado, bebendo pra esquecer. Quanto mais eu bebo, eu lembro de você. Ah, se eu tivesse a chance de dizer, volta pra mim, meu bebê. Volta pra eu poder viver. Quem nunca errou nessa vida, me atira uma pedra, eu errei pra aprender. Ah, se eu tivesse a chance de dizer, volta pra mim, meu bebê. Volta. Volta pra mim, meu bebê. Volta pra eu poder viver. Poder viver. Volta pra mim, meu bebê. Volta pra eu poder viver. Alô, meu violão, segura. Quem aprendeu, canta com a gente. Vambora. Quem nunca errou nessa vida, me atira uma pedra, eu errei pra aprender. Se quiser vir na palma da mão, fica legal. Quem nunca errou nessa vida, me atira uma pedra. Se eu tivesse. Mais uma vez, tá bonito demais. Mais uma vez, mais uma vez. Quem nunca errou nessa vida, me atira uma pedra. Eu errei pra aprender, pô. Volta pra mim, meu bebê. Volta pra eu poder viver.
Next up, we have Grupo Falo Comigo. They're joining us all the way from Brasilia, Brazil. They are running the Samba Pagode game. They are definitely taking off. They were created by Leandro Brito, and he's the owner of the biggest space online for Samba and Pagode for that genre. And I'm just so excited and honored that we all were able to come together to collaborate on this. Story time, I went to Brazil for the first time maybe it was over 10 years ago, and when I was there, I was like, what is this music? What is this little ukulele thing that's not a ukulele? I learned it was a cavaquinho. I'm like, what is this beat? I'm trying to samba. So when I was there, similar to what Adriana was saying, I really wanted to connect to the music, but I just didn't really have the tools to. So basically, when I came back to Charlotte, I got World Lit, looked up Ia Silva, and found her samba lessons, and I was able to get my dose of samba music every week. And then next thing you know, I mean, I'm looking up artists and everything on YouTube, and Leandro Brito is someone who's been making videos for a really long time. He started out as a cavaquinho instructor online and got into interviewing artists. So if you check out his channel, you'll learn a whole lot about the history of samba and all the artists that have made huge contributions over the years. And he put this group Falo Comigo together, and like I said, they're amazing. I listen to them all the time, and I have to say they help me get world lit. Every time I go to YouTube and put their video on, play it, listen to it, it's like, okay, I'm escaping to Brazil, and I really appreciate them for that.
Salve, salve galera, nós somos o grupo
Tô solto, hein? Tô solto, vambora!
Lá vem ele!
Então, o grupo foi formado através de um trabalho que a gente fazia pelo canal do Leandro Brito. Se chamava Pagode do Brito, a princípio, onde a gente acompanhava artistas, né, que vinham de fora e gravava os acústicos aqui. E depois disso veio a ideia da gente formar um grupo, onde o nome passou a ser Fala Comigo. Aí eu comecei a cantar e se transformou em tudo isso aqui.
Exatamente meu, você gostou de mim, finge me amar, eu finjo acreditar.
Então, eu comecei através do meu pai, que já tocava na noite, comecei a aprender algumas coisas com ele e fui caminhando assim na vida, fui aprendendo mais e mais até chegar aqui no Fala Comigo.
Foi através do meu pai, né? Meu pai tocava em um grupo de pagode, né? Mas desde o início eu era meio afastado desse mundo, porque eu era jogador de futebol. E aí, com o tempo que eu voltei pra Brasília, né? Eu fui me interessando mais pela música. E agora estou aqui no grupo Fala Comigo. E é isso aí, galera. É nóis, tamo junto.
Então eu também, assim como os meninos, eu comecei em casa mesmo com a família, no quintal, né? Tocando com a família toda. Minha família, quase todas, são todos músicos. E aí a gente começou assim e hoje estamos aqui, tocando com o grupo Fala Comigo. Muito felizes. E é isso.
Então, eu um pouquinho diferente dos meninos, já tive o início com uma experiência com amigos em escola, comecei a tocar em escola e fui pegando experiência com outros grupos na rua e hoje, graças a Deus, tô aqui no Fala Comigo.
Gostou de mim, finge me amar, finge acreditar. Cantem, não me acorda.
Eu comecei também através dos meus familiares, com um tio meu que ele veio do Rio pra cá e trouxe, na verdade, pra dentro da família a roda de samba, né? E foi assim, passei por alguns grupos aqui no Brasil e hoje estamos aqui com a família Grupo Fala Comigo.
Então, a gente teve algumas opções num grupo do WhatsApp, onde a gente estava decidindo e chegamos por meio de uma votação no Fala Comigo.
Emoção.
O diferencial do grupo Fala Comigo, eu vejo que é muita energia, a verdade que a gente transmite em cima do palco, né? As nossas brincadeiras, né? Aquele negócio diferente, né? Que tem isso aqui que rola, até mesmo nos bastidores, né? Então é isso, a verdade que a gente transmite.
Merece todo o meu carinho.
Então, as minhas influências também vieram através do meu pai. Lá em casa sempre ele escutou muito samba, não só samba, outros estilos musicais, só que o que sempre me chamou mais atenção foi isso. Então eu escutava Martinho da Vila, Zeca Pagodinho, Bezerra da Silva, entre outros.
Então, minhas influências também são familiares, né? Comecei tocando com meu pai e aí ele me apresentou outros gêneros musicais também, né? Mas é isso aí que o Daniel falou, influências como Martinho da Vila, Arlindo Cruz, um pouco mais pra frente arte popular, revelação, e é isso aí.
Então, minhas influências são mais da galera que já toca na rua, né? Sempre nas rodas de sambas a gente ouvia muito Fundo de Quintal, Zeca Pagodinho, Arlindo Cruz, como o nosso amigo citou, arte popular vindo mais pra cá, Thier, que chegou já com uma grande influência pra nova geração da nossa idade.
Então, minhas influências são familiares, né? Eu vim conhecer o samba já mesmo, como eu disse na pergunta anterior, através do meu tio, porém com uma influência enorme dentro de casa, através da minha mãe, do meu pai. Minha mãe fanática do Zeca, e veio também Bezerra, Fundo de Quintal, Grupo 100% e veio, né, na atualidade. E é isso.
Minhas influências também foi mais através do meu pai, né? Que meu pai foi músico por bastante tempo, né? Eu sempre ia nos pagodes com ele, né? Assim que eu parei de jogar bola. E de acordo com o tempo, aí eu fui fazendo tipo uns freelances lá, como faltava alguém. E aí eu comecei a tocar.
Pela polícia te fez, refém na lixeira esse bicho.
Então, eu acho que sim, porque os Estados Unidos tem essa cultura afro muito forte, a musicalidade afro nos Estados Unidos é muito forte. E para que isso possa acontecer, possa vir a acontecer, é ter mais festivais, a galera levar mais a nossa música para lá. Então, apresentar para essa galera, né, que eu acho que tá faltando é isso, a gente poder sair um pouco daqui para apresentar a nossa música para a galera de lá.
Assim como o balanço da música latina, que atrai muito o público afro-americano, eu acho que o balanço da música popular brasileira, do samba, do pagode, pode chegar com pressão tanto nos Estados Unidos quanto fora. Assim como grandes nomes do pagode, como Alexandre Pires, já tem seu nome feito fora do Brasil, fazendo festivais, participando de festivais tanto nos Estados Unidos quanto fora. Eu acho que mais artistas do Brasil desse segmento podem chegar também representando.
Eu sou muito fã do nosso mestre Aragão, meu.
Com certeza, até porque os brasileiros têm essa cultura de ser bem misto, de agregar as pessoas de fora. Então o Brasil ele tem muito de... Qualquer lugar que você vai tem uma galera japonesa, galera dos Estados Unidos. Então todo lugar que a gente vai é muito misto. Então desde pequeno a gente já cresce desse jeito. Então a gente escuta outros gêneros musicais, tem parte culinária da parada, então é muito bom.
A saudade bateu no coração.
Então, aqui eu gosto muito da culinária japonesa, né? Que é uma parada que eu me interesso muito. E também me fez querer conhecer a culinária de outros países também. Inclusive dos Estados Unidos tem o McDonald's, que aqui a galera gosta muito, principalmente após o show. Então, então é muito bom, é uma parada que a gente gosta muito. Que aí nos Estados Unidos tem bastante, que é fast food também.
Você faz sem eu viver, porque...
Então, creio que na questão de se adaptar ao clima, ao tempo, a trocar ideia, conversar por conta do inglês, seria um pouco difícil. E em relação à comida, primeiramente da minha mãe e segundo do nosso arroz com feijão tradicional mesmo.
Eu ia ter muita dificuldade em me comunicar com as pessoas, né? Porque eu não sei falar nem o português direito, imagina o inglês. Mas em questão de clima, eu acho que eu ia conseguir me adaptar bem. Em questão da culinária também, eu acho que seria tranquilo. Mas é questão mais de comunicação mesmo.
Esse aqui é o instrumento chamado repique de mão. Foi criado através do grande mestre Ubirani, um dos fundadores do grande grupo de samba, nossa referência, creio que para todos que começaram no samba e pagode. Foi criado através de um tom de batera. Em seguida, ele aperfeiçoou com repinique, veio da escola de samba. Foi criado ali no Cacique de Ramos. E um instrumento repinique que vinha com duas peles, uma embaixo e outra em cima. Ele retirou a de cima, né, no caso, e foi aonde que veio dando aquela aperfeiçoamento no som. E assim veio o nosso repique de mão.
Então apresento a vocês um instrumento totalmente criado aqui pelo nosso professor, nosso mestre Sereno, um dos fundadores do grupo Fundo de Quintal, nossa referência aqui, acho que para todos os músicos aqui de samba e pagode. É um instrumento que foi adaptado de um tantã de marcação, um instrumento que originalmente foi meio que uma fusão do swing, do balanço da bateria com o surdo. Então eles meio que adaptaram, reduziram o surdo para um tantã de marcação e conseguiram compactar ainda mais para um tantã. Um instrumento que não pode faltar em nenhuma roda de samba.
Então, esse aqui é o cavaquinho, um instrumento de origem portuguesa, que foi popularizado aqui no Brasil através do choro, através do grande mestre Valdir Azevedo, e dentro do samba, por caras assim geniais como Paulinho Galeto, Alceu Maia, entre outros.
rapaziada, esse aqui é o pandeiro, foi trazido para o Brasil no período colonial através dos portugueses, né? E aí os escravos aqui não podiam cultuar seus deuses, né? Seguir sua religião, e seus instrumentos, que eram atabaques grandes, foram apreendidos. E aí, como o pandeiro foi um instrumento trazido pelos portugueses, era um instrumento que eles podiam usar, né, escondido, para poder cultuar seus deuses. Como era pequeno, podia esconder, né? E os africanos começaram a usar, né, os escravos começaram a usar o instrumento, o pandeiro. E aí foi introduzido na capoeira, que é um ritmo, né, vindo da África para o Brasil. E depois, no século XIX, né, com o chorinho, que também o cavaquinho e o violão, tocado cavaquinho, violão, instrumento de sopro, piano, né? Ele foi trazido pro gênero, né, pro chorinho, através de João Machado Guedes, que é o João da Baiana, né? Que era um instrumento, que era o mesmo pandeiro, só que usado pele de couro, né, pele animal. E aí, à medida do tempo, com o pagode e o samba, né, eles modificaram, colocaram uma pele sintética, e hoje se tornou isso aqui. Temos várias referências, como o Bira Presidente, que é do Fundo de Quintal também, que foi o grupo que trouxe todos esses instrumentos pra gente aqui. Tem mais, tem o Mildinho, que são grandes referências aqui no país. É esse aqui, esse é o pandeiro.
Fala galera, esse aqui é o reco-reco, é um instrumento de origem africana, tá? Ele foi adaptado para o Brasil com um músico e também comediante chamado Mussum. Ele criou o reco-reco com a chapa de ferro e 3 molas. E é isso aí, ó, reco-reco.
Então, o pagode e o R&B, ele tem essa ligação também, né? Porque eles são 2 termos que foram criados para denominar o movimento, né, de afro, música afro, tanto, né, o R&B lá nos Estados Unidos e o pagode aqui no Brasil, né? O R&B nos Estados Unidos, ele veio, né, como fala, é ritmo e blues, é uma música tipo um rap, né, com a melodia que é mais cantada, né, fala mais de amor e dessas coisas todas. E o pagode aqui também veio com essas características após o samba, porque tanto o rap nos Estados Unidos quanto o samba aqui no Brasil, né, eles tinham essa característica de protesto. Já o R&B e o pagode, eles vieram com essa vertente mais cantada, falando mais de amor. Não que o samba e o rap não falassem disso, né, mas eles tinham essa característica muito forte. E também do balanço, do swing, né? O R&B tem essa parada e o pagode também traz essa vertente da galera dançando, cantando, pintar cabelo, da galera mais black, daquelas roupas, né, chamativas e tudo mais. E o pagode aqui tem essa ligação também com o R&B, então eles, né, tem essa parada parecida aí. E aqui no Brasil a gente pode citar 2 nomes que são incríveis e que são influências também, que pegam essa vibe do R&B pro Brasil, pra música deles, que é o Thiaguinho, o Rodriguinho, né? Traz essa métrica mais acelerada, esse balanço todo. Então, o R&B também influencia a nossa música brasileira aqui.
Comprei um tape deck, o nome é esquisito, mas dizem que é bom. Convidei os mano black, que gosta de rap de samba do bom, pra inauguração dos manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. Os manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. O fio do plug era azul, branco e bordô. Meu cabelo arrepiou só de ver tanto botão. Liguei o cassete no cabo da internet, usei mais de 30 cotonetes só pra limpar o visor. Foi aí que o bicho pegou. Era a galera gritando, demorou. Daí diante a porrada começou. O evento passava das 3 da madrugada, já foi todo mundo pra calçada, tremendo a mangada, e eles na palma da mão. A gente veio pra ouvir Almig Neto, Racionais, MC, Aniceto, Monarco, Gabriel Pensador, velha guarda que incendeia, bandeia, pagodinho, Vininho, Bochecha com Claudinho, que papel, sangue bom, a gente veio aqui. Velha guarda que incendeia, bandeia, pagodinho, Vininho, Bochecha com Claudinho, Que papel ou sangue bom. Eu comprei um tape deck. O nome é esquisito, mas dizem que é bom. Convidei os mano black que gostam de rap do samba do bom pra inauguração. Os manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. Os manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. Os manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. Os manos que gostam de rap de samba do bom. O fio do plug era azul, branco e bordô. Meu cabelo arrepiou só de ver tanto botão. Liguei o cassete no cabo da internet. Usei mais de 30 cotonetes só pra limpar o visor. Foi aí que o bicho pegou. Era a galera gritando, demorou. Daí em diante a porrada começou. No evento passava das 3 da madrugada. Foi todo mundo pra calçada, tremenda a mancada, e eles na palma da mão. A gente veio pra ouvir ao Big Neto, Racionais, MC Aniceto, Monaco, Gabriel Pensador, velha guarda que incendeia, candeia, pagodinho, menino bochecha com Claudinho. Que papel ou sangue bom. A gente veio aqui para ouvir ao Big Neto, Racionais, MC Aniceto, Monaco, Gabriel Pensador, velha guarda que incendeia, candeia, pagodinho, menino bochecha com Claudinho. Que papel ou sangue bom. Já curti rock, samba, reggae, funk, chame no swing, arretado com meu nome já deixei. Bolo do ferro, fogo, a furia de reis, até salsa e merengue, te confesso que dancei. Bolero, bossa, capoeira, caipira, candomblé, mumba, meu boi, até cair no baião. Mas te confesso que o samba e o pagode são de minha preferência, mora no meu coração. Já inventaram fogo, de rap, god, chame, god, funk, god, samba, não morreu. Até quem não é bamba gosta de repique, de pandeiro, de cavaco, de tantã e violão. Fica maneiro quando chega fevereiro, eu afinal sou brasileiro, eu vou pra vender na samba. Lá, bamba, sinto muito, mas o samba corre aqui na minha veia, eu não largo não. Sou bomba, som do samba, não tô de brincadeira. Sou bomba, som do samba, sou bomba, som do samba, ele é minha bandeira. Sou bomba, som do samba, não tô de brincadeira não. Sou bomba, som do samba, ele é minha bandeira. Eu já curti rock, samba, reggae, funk, chame no swing, arretado o meu nome já deixei. Olo do ferro, cola, furia de rei, salsa e merengue, eu te confesso que dancei. Bolero, bossa, capoeira, caipira, candomblé, umba, meu boi, até cair no baião. Mas te confesso que o samba e o pagode são de minha preferência, moram no meu coração. Já inventaram forró, de rap, god, chame, god, funk, god, samba, não morreu. Até quem não é bomba gosta de repique, de pandeiro, de cavaco, de tantã e violão. Fica maneiro quando chega fevereiro, eu apenas sou brasileiro, eu vou pra vida e da samba. Lá, bomba, sinto muito, mas o samba corre aqui na minha veia, eu não largo não. Sou bomba, som do samba, não tô de brincadeira. Sou bomba, som do samba, sou bomba, som do samba, ele é minha bandeira. Sou bomba, som do samba, não tô de brincadeira, não tô de brincadeira não. Sou bomba, som do samba, ele é minha bandeira. Eu não consigo te esquecer, e essa dor não quer passar. Nada mais me dá prazer, você marcou o meu viver com o teu jeito de me amar. Nessa paixão tudo apostei, agora eu só sei sonhar. O meu amor eu te entreguei, se contigo eu errei, foi querendo acertar. Sinto saudade do seu beijo, felicidade me deixou. O seu corpo é meu desejo, sonho com teu jeito meigo, que um dia me apaixonou. Amor, só eu sei como te amei, ainda te amo. Me dá teu perdão, sua paixão é meu oceano. Não posso mais viver assim, volta de vez pra mim, amor. Como te amei, ainda te amo. Dá seu perdão, sua paixão é meu oceano. Não posso mais viver assim, volta de vez pra mim. Nessa paixão tudo apostei, agora eu só sei sonhar. O meu amor eu te entreguei, se contigo eu errei, foi querendo acertar. Sinto saudade do seu beijo, felicidade me deixou. O seu corpo é meu desejo, sonho com teu jeito meigo, que um dia me apaixonou. Amor, só eu sei como te amei, ainda te amo. Não posso mais viver assim, volta de vez, amor, só eu sei. Como te amei, ainda te amo. Não sou sua paixão, meu oceano. Não posso mais viver assim, volta de vez pra mim. Tanto tempo a gente não ficava tão contente, a felicidade andou brigada com a gente. Nada nesse mundo abalou, só Deus sabe o que a gente passou. Por tantas bobagens nós brigamos sem querer. Pra falar a verdade, não foi briga pra valer. Não tive coragem pra sofrer, eu fiquei perdido sem você. Quando vi de perto a solidão, reagiu meu coração. Só me dá prazer ver tanto desejo em nosso olhar, longe de você. Fico triste só de imaginar. Todo amor nasceu pra ser feliz, que a gente nasceu pra se amar. Nasceu pra ser feliz. Quanto tempo a gente não ficava tão contente, a felicidade andou brigada com a gente. Nada nesse mundo abalou, só Deus sabe o que a gente passou. Por tantas bobagens nós brigamos sem querer. Pra falar a verdade, não foi briga pra valer. Não tive coragem pra sofrer, eu fiquei perdido sem você. Quando vi de perto a solidão, reagiu meu coração. Todo amor nasceu pra ser feliz, e a gente nasceu pra se amar.